what isn't a fit? What aren't you getting? Is it that you just need to be more seen in that relationship? Do you need better communication with your partner? Do you need just a little bit more freedom to have your own life? Do you need more of a shared life together? Or is it, shit, I built someone else's life, you know? It doesn't have to be that extreme, and you don't have to give it, you know what I mean? You don't have to light everything on fire and walk away and have no idea where you're going. In fact, I don't recommend doing it that way.
Welcome to Carrie On, the show where we explore reinvention, self-discovery, and empowerment before, during, and after midlife. I'm your host, Carrie Murray. It's time to keep our head above the chaos and carry on. Today's conversation is with someone who has rebuilt her life by following a very different kind of map, the one within. She found her true north even when the map disappeared. My guest today is someone who has redesigned not only the spaces we gather in, but the inner landscapes we navigate. She is a producer, designer, and the visionary founder of The AM and the AM Production Design Studio. She builds atmospheres that move culture. Yet her most profound creation might be the life she crafted for herself. During a global pandemic, while the world clung to uncertainty, Ana Moskos did something radically different. She followed the compass within. Human design gave her a language for the truth she'd been carrying and the courage to leave the life she built and live nomadically. Welcome, Ana, my little nomad. So you are my first nomadic guest.
Amazing.
And my youngest.
That's an honor, and I'm really excited to be here. I feel like any invitation from Carrie is one that you want to accept, so I'm really honored.
I'm so glad. And I definitely, I know my audience, which is typically over 40. You are an old soul who's lived so much life. Before the age of 40, you should be 150.
It feels like that sometimes, so.
And look how beautiful her skin is for being as old as she is. But I want to start with, because not a lot of people know what human design is. So give us a little bit of what is human design exactly.
So similar to, I like to call it kind of a hybrid of astrology and kind of a personality or strengths finder quiz is a way to distill it down. You get a chart like you do in astrology. There's a lot of different elements, but for me, what I love about it is that it was such a practical application. You have your energy type, which is how you're meant to exchange energy with the world. You have your profile, which is kind of like an archetype that you might fall into. You have your incarnation cross, which is a lot about your purpose and what you're meant to do and be in this life. And so it gives a lot of really great practical guidance without being overly prescriptive and not quite as esoteric, I think sometimes as, astrology can get when you really get into the nitty gritty of that.
Yeah, and there's different types, right? The archetype. So I am a proud projector.
Yes, a lovely
And
projector.
You are a manifesting generator?
Correct,
So tell us what that is.
Yeah, so there's 5 general energy types. That's the top level where you start with human design. And while there's so much more information in your chart, and I think really you can get definitely a lot more into the detail, the energy type is really, it's simple, but it's the part that you want to master. And so there's 5 energy types. There's reflectors, which are less than 1% of the population. So very rare. They're fully open, and they're really meant to live at the center of our communities. So they're really interesting. We have projectors, which is another non-energy being, which is you. And then there's manifestors, generators, and then kind of a hybrid of those, manifesting generators.
Which is you.
Correct. I'm a manifesting generator. Really the true kind of definition of multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate, very non-linear, as you'll see as we get into this conversation. Really just kind of meant to taste the buffet of life, we say, and have a lot of different experiences and interests and weave those together in our own unique way.
And you have found, when you found human design, you found a way to weave it not only in your business to kind of inform kind of the direction you were going and in the in your event design and the spaces you create, but also in your own personal life. You found a way to navigate relationships that weren't necessarily the best for you, but also enhance relationships that were. Yeah. So tell me how human design kind of like informed you professionally as well as personally.
Yeah, when I found human design, it really articulated so much and it gave me so much permission. I think particularly within my business, that was the easiest for me to apply it to at first. And I think gave me an understanding of how I am, how I operate, the way that I'm meant to attract opportunities. And to give a specific example of that, I am a fourth line, which means that I am a people person, and that the people in my life and the quality of those relationships really have so much to do with how I feel about my life in general. And it also means that I attract opportunities through my people. I don't need to be as concerned with being everywhere for everyone and being super out there and being amazing on social media and having all these opportunities pour in from random people that I don't know. My job is to get really clear on what it is that I do and don't want, and I share it with the people that know me best, and they're kind of like a universal filtering mechanism. And that was very much how I've built my entire career. It's been through networking, it's been through just building authentic relationships with people, but very in person. And I used to put a lot of pressure on myself because I wasn't so all over Instagram and great at digital marketing and didn't have this email list. And so that was one of the things that I learned. I was like, oh my God, I can let that go. And it was just so freeing. And then I think in personal relationships, it's really just such a beautiful tool for understanding how I am and being able to explain to someone else, oh, this is how I operate, this is what I need, this is the way I need to move, or I'm trying this right now and testing out how this works for me. And then also really gives me a good understanding of other people. And I think especially in previous romantic partnerships and things like that, it's just such a great communication tool to kind of help you navigate everyone's different needs on so many different levels. And I like to say that the kind of micro perspective is that, here's my chart, this is Ana, this is who I am. The midpoint is like, Ana and Carrie, today when we're having this conversation, you're kind of you're the overlay of each other's charts. So you borrow from each other, and I can have access to something different that maybe isn't innately there with me that I feed off of when I'm with you. And then the macro perspective is really, it's so beautiful that we're all here to model different parts of the full spectrum of what it is to be a human being, and to teach each other that all of those elements are important. And I think ultimately have more understanding for who everyone else is. And even if it's not a match, to say, hey, it's just not a match. I actually am not going to live my life that way, or I need to try something a little bit different, or I want to go over here, and you can go over there and be cool, but it's okay that we're not going to do that together anymore.
Yeah. So you did kind of gloss over the relationship part, but I saw that. But we're going to get back to that. So would you say it gave you a language? Mm-hmm. It gave you a way to communicate when you were maybe just whispering before, or silencing yourself? What did it kind of give you, like a framework? How would you say it informed when you would have those uncomfortable conversations, or trying to communicate your needs clearly?
Yeah, I think with my ex-fiance that I was with up until the pandemic, we always knew that we were very different people, and I understood that on some level, but I think it did sort of give me something to dig into. I'm a very naturally curious person. I like to find solutions. I like to understand how things work. I'm a creator and a builder, and I think a fixer, a creative problem solver. So when you're thinking about building a life with someone, there's so much that goes into that, and it was a tool that really helped me to, I think, fine tune. And again, it gave me a lot of understanding and a lot more empathy and compassion, and helped me to step out of frustration in certain points. But I think it was also starting to help me develop the voice that I needed to be heard, to really say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I really need, and it wasn't just specific to him. I think this is something I've needed to develop across the spectrum in my life, but really was giving voice to my own needs and who I was as a person, and how much experimentation and play and lightness I need within that. And ultimately just how, again, just non-linear I need to be. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it really just kind of helped me to, I think, advocate for myself in ways that have been in personal and professional settings.
For women who want more than just a getaway, Two Peacocks Travel offers transformative journeys that blend adventure, connection, and empowerment. Imagine wandering the colorful streets of Morocco with new friends, sharing stories over a meal in Peru, or conquering a new challenge with the encouragement of a supportive travel group. These experiences aren't just about places. They're about people, growth, and creating traditions that extend beyond the trip. It's time to travel with purpose and find your travel bestie and make an unforgettable memories. Join the movement at twopeacockstravel.com.
Ready for TED is an 8-week program led by my friend, Tony Purry. She's a PR pro, executive media trainer, and yep, a TEDx speaker herself, who, by the way, was a guest right here on Carrie On, episode number 2. This guided experience is built just for women ready to clarify their message and craft a signature talk and share their big idea. Whether you're an expert, founder, or change maker, you'll expand your influence, raise awareness, and gain unshakable credibility when you hit the red circle. I've seen firsthand how Tony supports women through this process. It's remarkable. Spots are super limited. Apply now at readyforted.com and let Tony be your guide on the global stage. Yeah, so you're going through this discovery. You meet this guy, you're in this relationship, and during this relationship, you find this tool. And this human design gives you a voice and gives you a language. And then you grow from that. You're changing from that. How did that affect his opinion of you? And in that, did he want to keep you as the Ana he started with? And now as you're evolving, how did he adapt to that?
I don't think it was necessarily specifically human design. I think I am someone who is like sometimes to a fault forever growing and evolving and learning and wants to just explore all of these different modalities and systems and things like that. I've always been very spiritually curious. And I think it was around the time I found human design that I really sort of did start to dig back into my own spiritual development and my relationship with myself, higher power, God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it. I think it's all talking about the same thing. And yeah, I wouldn't say it was specifically human design, but I think that has been a challenge in that relationship and in others, is that I am sort of continually evolving and changing. And I don't think it's necessarily it comes from a bad place, but I think sometimes people that know us best can get freaked out by that. And it can be unnerving when I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go in this direction now. And oh my God, I have this new business idea. Now I wanna do this. For someone who needs just safety and stability, and like a specific example of that is he was a projector as well. So again, just even I think energetically and socially, we had very different batteries, and was fully aware of that and comfortable with that. But what it came down to was he's a splenic projector, which the spleen is our oldest awareness center, and it's all of our kind of instincts and intuitions, but also our fears. Whereas I have a completely undefined spleen. I have no gates, like nothing there. So fear is also, for him, is something that is such a big point of intuition. And that can be a lower expression of it if you're not moving into using it as an intuitive tool, like that kind of voice that tells you go left here, don't go right. But for me, it's like pretty unhealthy and just like doesn't really like do anything for me to constantly be worried about what I'm afraid of. And so there was that kind of, we could sort of talk about that. And then I think ultimately it was like, okay, I actually just don't think I need to be living, I want to live in the same way, and I want to try these other things. And that's, sometimes I think that happens in relationships, like your lifestyle and the practical reality of what you want to do in the day-to-day, where you want to be living, how you want to be living, sometimes is just as important a factor as, do you love each other? And that's a hard truth to come by.
Truly. And would you say you mistaked or misidentified your fear as actually your wisdom and intuition?
I think in other ways, there was an article I read recently that I shared with you that really made this distinction that hit me pretty hardly, even now today, that talked about this idea of protective disconnection versus healthy detachment. And there was a line in that said, I've been calling my fear wisdom for too long. And I think right with any sort of healing, there's different layers to it and different levels. And so I think then I sort of I was really, as that relationship kind of, especially got closer to the end, I realized that the fear wasn't mine, and I was trying to do a lot more to sort of empty out, as a human design language is, to, disconnect from other people's energies, get back in touch with what is my own. But I think fear is still something I have a very interesting relationship with, and obviously have generally have fear, but it's not like I'm never afraid of anything. It's just not necessarily an emotion that I understand. And I think that's where I'm at with it today, is seeing that I still, right? Like, again, I have no real frame of reference internally and energetically for it, according to the human design system. So it's still a complicated emotion for me.
See, to me, when I hear that you're one of the bravest people I know. And to me, you have such a lack of fear, almost to, you're literally calling off everything during a pandemic and being like, I'm gonna bounce.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of fear, Ana.
Yeah.
So where did that come from? I mean, literally, we don't even know what this thing is. And you're just like, I'm gonna hop on a mask and get on a train. Like, what was that?
Yeah, so to kind of just give the
context.
full context of the story, I feel like a lot of people had these realizations. It's somewhat cliche. I think my response to it was not. But had this, when everything stopped, right? I just had an event production business at that time. That was the core of what I was doing. That literally disappeared. Disappeared overnight.
Was it an event? Was it like a thing that made it gone?
No, when the pandemic hit,
gotcha. That was it.
My entire year was spoken for. I literally, that was in March. Through December, like my time was booked. I travel a lot for work as well, so it's not like I was just in LA. So that disappeared, right? Like events couldn't happen anymore. We didn't know what was happening. Went away. Honestly, the first like my initial reaction, which surprised me, I was like, oh my God, I was relieved. I was like, I get my time back. I was like, wow, I get to think about what I want to do this year. That hasn't just stopped. Like I haven't had that permission slip in so long. There was obviously the like, okay, how am I going to make money? What am I going to do? But then kind of as that slowed down and everything stopped and we were in quarantine, we were in lockdown, I think I started to realize that the busyness of my life was masking a lot of things that weren't a right fit. And that I had built so much that looked good on paper. I mean, literally a house with a white picket fence, a fiance, a Jaguar in the driveway, a dog, an office in downtown Long Beach, and a high-rise building. Like, you had all these things. And I really just wanted something else. The space that opened up was really the first invitation that I'd had to pause and reconsider if what I was building was really responsible and right for me. And so just kind of, honestly, it came as a surprise to me too. I know it obviously was very shocking to my ex that I just was like, I think I have to go. This is, I need to end this relationship. But it really surprised me too. And I think for better or worse, it wasn't like I thought, oh, I'm going to be really brave and make this decision and I have to do this. It was gut-wrenching. It destroyed me. It was heartbreak of the highest order for me too. But for better or worse, I just have this thing where I just can't fake it. I really struggle with that. I always have. I live very much out loud. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I just couldn't stay in something that I knew wasn't right. And I think especially, I just like love and feel so deeply that with someone I care about and I really, really, truly did love, it felt so awful. Even it was really only like a week or two between having that realization and actually leaving. Really?
That you were like, I gotta go.
Because I felt awful every day. I felt terrible. I felt so guilty because I didn't want this to be lying to this person that I really just truly love deeply and only want the best for, right? But it's like when I saw that I was taking someone else's place in his life as well. It wasn't fair for me to sit there and pretend. Like that felt like the cruelest thing I could do to either one of us.
Wow, that's really see, old soul, guys. So you had the uncomfortable conversation. I gotta go. The dividing of all the things, you decided to travel.
Yeah.
And to say, I'm gonna put things in storage. I'm gonna, where was the first place? You took a train to?
I took the train, yeah. So I'm
trying to remember where you went first.
I left from LA. I had no idea what I was gonna do. I called one of my best friends and was like, I think I just need to get on the train. This was again, this is late 2020. This is I think I like left that relationship in August, and this was like maybe October. I stayed with my brother for a couple months. And then I was like, I have to go. I was contemplating, am I going to rent a new apartment here? But I was like, I think I'm going to just get on the train. Amtrak was only at like 40% capacity because it was during the pandemic. It was a lot cheaper. I love trains. I love a train trip. There's just something so soothing about it, and you feel so just kind of disconnected. And I think I needed that. I needed to be away from the pressure of feeling like a ghost walking around in every past version of a life that I've had here that didn't work and that felt broken and felt like I just needed something to be away. Maybe that's also an Aries in me. Sometimes it's just that I just gotta go. I just gotta get out. I need to physically be somewhere different. And so I took the train from here. I started here in LA. I went up to Portland, Oregon, and then eventually went all the way to Portland, Maine. Went all across the whole country. I stopped pretty much at all the national parks and was just hiking by myself, staying in random hotels or Airbnbs, crying every night. Just truly kind of completely fell apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Ana. What got you through that?
Honestly, the bra community, like our friends and the people in my life. I am so blessed. Oh my God, it makes me want to cry now. I truly would not be standing today without that. A friend of ours who's been on the podcast, Tony Puri, is a very, very good friend of mine. And there were days where I would just be like, what do I do today? Where, like, help, like, I don't know what to do. And really, just a lot of the women in bra who I'm very close to. And then just sort of learning to sit in it.
Yeah.
Truly break apart, break open. But I really didn't know what I was doing. I feel like maybe now I'm just kind of coming back to having some sort of vision again and like maybe getting on the track of like, okay, I know where I want to go. But it's been very, very much an unwinding and unlearning, and just kind of it was hard. It was really hard.
Yeah, definitely. And so you never made it back to Long Beach.
No, I did not.
You ended up in Antigua, Guatemala.
Yes. Yeah.
How did you land there?
So I spent a couple months in upstate New York. I was sort of back and forth seeing some friends that lived either in the Midwest or, on the East Coast. Again, this is still pandemic, so I was really just like in Airbnbs by myself, going out hiking, walking every day just to go do something. But there wasn't really like a lot open, which I'm very thankful in hindsight now, because I think, again, if I would have just distracted myself, I wouldn't have truly fallen apart the way that I needed to. And then it was March of 2021, my best friend who lives in New York but was in Mexico for part of the pandemic said, hey, I'm thinking about going back to Antigua. I was there for like a day. I want to check it out again. And I need a change of scenery. He's like, do you want to come meet me? And I was like, yeah. It's like, I was obviously itching to get back to being somewhere else and getting on a plane again. And so I said yes. We were supposed to go for a couple of weeks, ended up staying for almost 2 months on that trip. And a month later, I was like, I'm going to move down there. I think a couple weeks in, I was like, I think this is where I'm supposed to be.
Love that. It was really interesting to be on that call with you guys. Hey guys.
So I think I live here now.
Yes. This is where I'm going to live. It was very cool. So now you're in Antigua, things are opening up, and you're redefining, because you're in events, and that was the first thing to shut down and everything. But now you're redefining, well, I had to leave that situation to find my true self, come break down. But now what's the true self for my business? What's the true self? And one of the things I think you do really well, because Ana has done a lot of my events and created beautiful spaces for women to thrive and connect and grow, and beautiful lighting to make sure I don't have lines and I look really thin, and I appreciate
it's
that.
Not hard. That's the easy part.
Thoughtful.
Come on.
But now you've launched the Art of the Atmosphere, Art of Atmosphere, and tell me about where your new direction, as opposed to doing the regular old conference.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And that culture you're bringing, to a shared space among people.
Yeah, I think that's what I've always loved about about events and hospitality and all of that is just creating the container for magic to happen. I love that. It's a very full kind of creative process as well. It's very satisfying to have an idea or a concept and then get to develop that and then physically build it and see it in the real world. And so, yeah, I am just now kind of relaunching and splitting my business into the two different, it feels like halves of me, honestly.
Yeah.
The AM is kind of the core umbrella brand, and that is going to be more of my consulting and growth strategy work. Human design is like the main tool I use to understand my clients there. But I really work with leaders, change makers, and activists to kind of help them define, to clarify their mission, elevate their impact. That's kind of the more analytical, strategic side of me that I love to express. And then with the event work, it's really more now about, I'm relaunching that as a production design studio. So I think really kind of feeding my artist soul in that part. And the art of atmosphere is our tagline. And it is that. I love to build a space and an atmosphere to welcome people into. I think there's so much magic. Even when you just sit down together at a table and you're not in your normal setting and you share food, you share conversation, you really have have a moment to connect with people. There's just really incredible ripple effects of that. And I think especially where we are today in the world that we live in, it's more important than ever that we have those touch points and those like in real life experiences that kind of will help us shift everything for ourselves, for other people, and even just find those genuine moments of connection and joy that I think we can never have too many of.
And it's like we're almost like losing those opportunities because so much is moving online and so much is like, and during that pandemic time, we were Zooming like crazy. But like now that we're making this shift, what shift have you seen in events and the event space and what people, really want to achieve?
Yeah. I think it really is just, in the immediate aftermath of the pandemic, there were events kind of really came back and everyone wanted to get together and there were so many that were happening. And I think now we're sort of, I think we're also now, kind of integrating some of the lessons that we learned in the pandemic and that pause and that invitation to reassess everything in our lives and what do we want our lives to be filled with? How do we want to spend our time? All of those kind of questions. And so I definitely see people being a bit more discerning in that. And even with brands and clients and artists that I work with, really, I think that like quality is like really, really returning in a big way. But I think we're also still connecting to the power of that. I think especially with so much uncertainty in the world, with everything that's happening, I think with the divisions that are kind of being sowed by how online everything is and how, we kind of all get siloed into our different algorithms and things like that. There is something just so human that happens when we just sit down and have a conversation and can sit down and connect, or even just smile at a stranger or say hello, or that passing conversation with someone if you're going to go in and get a coffee. I think that what I see being really successful are the opportunities to create that and give people something really unexpected, but that I think I also see on the consumer side, people being more discerning in that, in what they're willing to spend their time and money doing, because that, like, ultimately our time is our most precious resource.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to bring it back to you now personally, you're also in Antigua and created a space for you, and that's built on art. And how does that different from the white picket fence in Long Beach? How different is that, and how does that feel differently?
Yeah, it's radically different, and it really is. I think when I think about the white picket fence now, and I think about sort of just like the suburban life in California, in America, whatever it is, I think that is, there's so many people that I think are working to achieve that, and I think that that's in a beautiful life, and there is so much there. I also think that I really love and appreciate just how the experience I get living in a different culture, and it's so much more communal, and it's so much less about like, oh, I'm in my house and these are my things and these are your things. It's, there really just is a different priority placed on kind of community and being there for each other, and Yeah, and just kind of like creating a family, which I think if you come from that, that's amazing. It's something that I want and my soul craves. And it's like, I don't necessarily, I haven't had that really yet in my life. And I have had to kind of discover and build that for myself. But it's amazing and I'm so thankful for it. And I think also too, just, you know, on a practical and material level, it's a lot cheaper to live in Guatemala than it was having a mortgage here. And so I really appreciate the freedom that affords me to also be able to go and travel and be with my people that are all over. I think that was another hard thing about the pandemic is, I mean, I'll speak for being in LA, is a lot of people left and moved and kind of were in different places now. And so it felt like, that even the people that I loved weren't necessarily as close here. And so that was kind of a decision as well, a deciding factor in, am I going to move back here? It's like, well, but are the things that I loved the most even still there? Yeah. But having the freedom to move within that and move throughout the world and like go spend time with my people is just such an amazing gift that the lifestyle I have now has given me.
What would you recommend to someone who's also like finds himself in a relationship with everything that they were told they were supposed to have, the white picket fence, the 2 dogs, the fiance, the jag in the driveway, and they're also like, ugh. What would you recommend to that person?
I think like give yourself room to explore that. Like where is that coming from, right? Like I think ultimately even human design, even astrology, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, any tool that you can find to help you understand yourself, I think that's like what all of those things mean for me. But that's really where it starts, is like, why? What about it? What isn't a fit? What aren't you getting? Is it that you just need to be more seen in that relationship? Do you need better communication with your partner? Do you need just a little bit more freedom to have your own life? Do you need more of a shared life together? Or is it, shit, I built someone else's life, you know? It doesn't have to be that extreme, and you don't have to give it, you know what I mean? You don't have to light everything on fire and walk away and have no idea where you're going. In fact, I don't recommend doing it that way. But just find community, find your people, and try to find yourself. But get to the root of like, why? Where is that? What is that voice asking for?
Women have such a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
We are so conditioned to do what we're told and what society projects on us and what we're supposed to do. And they wake up and find themselves, you know,
totally
completely lost.
And I think maybe that's the best advice I can give is don't suffer in silence. Don't sit in silence with yourself, but don't suffer in silence. Like let someone into that, and find a way to explore that, but kind of get curious about it first. And see where that's coming from, and what is that need that isn't being addressed, and is that an inside job or is that an outside? You know what I mean? Is that something that you can? I think we also sometimes will have more agency and ownership than we give ourselves credit for.
Sure.
And is that something that we can do, or is this I need external support? I need an external change.
Yeah. I hope if my daughter's ever in the same situation, she has your courage and bravery.
Carrie, that's
to leave.
Massive, massive compliment.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
serious.
Thank you.
I want her to
really
have it. So before we wrap up, first off, what's in your bag? Like you're about to pack. You travel so much. Like what are your go-to travel items? This is so off topic, but I'm so curious because you travel so much. What do you never leave at home?
Honestly, I probably should not be, I should know how to pack lightly. I do not. I am very much, I like my things. I like to have, I'm trying to think of like what a good answer to this question is, but honestly, it's really just the reason this is hard to answer is because I travel for so many different reasons and occasions and to so many different places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm very much I still think clothes and styling and feeling my best are a top priority. Like that's still how I express myself. And I really, I just value having the things that I want. So it's like, but I'm very routined in that. There is a very methodical, I pack, I unpack. I have to keep things very organized. It's like, I think it's one of the ways that helps me still feel maybe control, maybe just like grounded in it, but there's a ritual to it. So it's like, I've also learned that I can offer, not shocking. I can offer you more strategy advice on packing than I can like pack this because I love it. Right. Because I'm an MG and like the things that I want to bring are very different depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's like I've learned to do all the little stuff first. And this is a revelation just in the last like 6 months probably. Because the clothes and the outfits are always the hardest part for me. But if I pack like all of my toiletries and I just go by like, okay, I need this is my hair stuff, this is my skin stuff, this is my makeup. I'll do my accessories. I do all the little stuff first. And then I let myself pack the clothes. I'm also a procrastinator and I'm always like, can't do things too far
Maybe I shouldn't have asked you this question.
I know, it's a very difficult question for me to answer. But I would say just whatever makes you feel comfortable and happy is really it.
Yeah, that's what you put in your suitcase.
Answer.
Yeah, I love that. No emotional baggage. There's no room. Check it.
Yeah,
check it.
100%. I don't really have like
wonderful.
a good answer for that.
I think that's good.
Okay.
Well, we want to follow along on your journey.
Yes.
Please tell us where. I know you're not big on social media.
Yes. But
that's
shifting.
Where can
that
people connect
Yeah.
with you?
So on Instagram, I am for the AM side of things is by.theam on Instagram, and then PDS Production Design Studio by the AM on Instagram as well. And then personally, you can find me at Annalisa321. And that's really the main thing. I am working on using that tool in a different way and showing up more and sharing more of my journey there and using it more.
It's a beautiful, it's point. Like what you do is beautiful. Like this is the stuff we want to see. You know what I mean? Food, event space, makeup, and puppies. That's what we want to see.
That is my life in a nutshell. Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here and telling us about human design. Do you recommend, like, is there a book, a website for human design for people to learn more about it?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, people can definitely get in touch with me. I'm always happy to give more personal recommendations for things. But Jenna Zoe was my human design teacher. I started with her way back in 2019 when I was like really took the plunge and started studying. She is the Align app, and it's My Human Design on Instagram. But there's a whole host of other resources out there. Whatever you're drawn to, honestly. Yeah.
Well, as a projector, I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ana. And thank you for everyone for tuning in and carrying on with us. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe drop in a little star emoji and let us know what your human design archetype is.
Energy type.
Energy type. And as always, keep your head above the chaos and carry on.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Carrie On. Be sure to find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And as always, like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And don't forget to keep your head above the chaos and carry on.